Hello and welcome to this special show on Rajya Sabha Television. I am Vishal Dahiya, and in this show, we talk about India's response to COVID 19, the way we have battled this particular pandemic so far. Today, we're going to talk about national clinical grand rounds. Now, these are a set of discussions which were conducted by All India Institute of Medical Sciences in close coordination with Niti Aayog and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. The idea behind this particular discussion was overall to understand what we have learned so far in our handling of COVID 19 and those patients who've been suffering from this particular pandemic. What have we learned so far? What are the key takeaways from these discussions, and how can that be put into perspective and utilization from here onwards? For more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of guests. Let me first introduce them to you. We have with us Dr. V.K. Paul. He is a member Niti Aayog, and he's a very senior person involved with handling the COVID-19 pandemic in India. We also have with us Dr. Anant Mohan. He's the professor and head of Department of Pulmonary Medicine in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, participated in those dialogues as well. And Dr. Dhruv Chaudhary is also with us, senior professor and head of Pulmonary Medicine at Pandit B.D. Sarma PGMS at Rohtak in Haryana, looking after the COVID-19 pandemic in the state out there. Welcome, all of you gentlemen, to Rajya Sabha TV. Let me first begin with you, Dr. Paul, and let's try and understand the need or the reason or the logic behind, having discussions like the National Clinical Grand Round. Why and what are we trying to learn here?
Vishal, the COVID-19 disease is a new disease. It wasn't there just a few months ago. And as it has evolved over a period of time, we are getting insights into its various clinical dimensions, its pathophysiology, and also learning how to use specific modalities of treatment systematically and logically. And as we do that, we also are fortunate that experience is gathering within the country and outside the country, where we are learning which therapeutic modality to be added and which one is not to be added and to be dropped, actually. Mm-hmm. And this is happening by the day. There are changes, better understanding. And at the same time, the Government of India very systematically, through a process of review, a process of sharing, talking to experts, have developed the national protocol for COVID-19 for those patients who get admitted in facility. And we're talking about those patients today, not the ones who are mild and staying at home. We'll come to that. But those who are symptomatic and who need treatment, whether they are mild, moderate, severe, and who need interface with physicians, we have a protocol which is based on the best possible understanding that collectively we have in this country. So we want to make sure that through dialogue, all the physicians involved in the care of these patients across the country know about what is the balance of knowledge and balance of the current state of understanding in managing the cases. The reason is also counterfactual, and that is in the public space, in the newspapers, in the WhatsApp groups, you're hearing all the time this therapy works and doesn't work. And therefore, what was decided was that we'll create a forum, and we called it National COVID-19 Clinical Grand Rounds, which becomes a platform through which the best experts of the country come together, talk about how to manage these patients, and enforce the use of national protocol, which is something which they themselves have developed. So All India Institute of Medical Sciences were tasked and requested to create this platform. It brings in the experts from AIIMS. It brings in the best experts from across the country. And this is the institution which we believe will help improve the care of COVID-19 patients and reduce mortality, reduce ill health, and give us much better outcomes.
Okay. Let's now bring in Dr. Mohan and Dr. Dhruv here. Let me begin with you, Dr. Mohan, since both of you were part of the discussion and both of you are at the front line as well in handling this entire COVID-19 situation at your respective hospitals. So, what are the key takeaways in terms of points which must have been exchanged between all of you doctors from different areas handling patients in different locations? For example, Dr. Dhruv is in Rohtak, where you're in Delhi, sitting at the heart out there in All India Institute of Medical Sciences.
Yes, so like Dr. Paul said, the aim of this is to kind of combine academics with clinical medicine. Okay, so this is the probably the best way to do so, to not just learn but also to share experiences of a new disease. And what we managed was, we had this last week. So we have had two grand rounds so far, and the aim is to try and make it case based. So we present a couple of cases, one or two cases, that real life cases. We show how they were managed, and then at the end of it we have a discussion with everybody else also, as to how it could have been, whether it could have been done in a different manner. So the other experts, they share their opinion. They say, okay, if I was there, I might have done in this particular way, or if not, then why not? So these kind of dialogue exchanges occur, and at the end of it, then at the same time we review the existing literature and the evidence we have in the published literature as of now, and then we come to a conclusion or a kind of a teaching point that, look, this is the best way that this particular disease could have been managed. So we try to take away small things out of that. For example, a patient who might be requiring ventilator, so on a ventilator, what is the best way to treat him? Some other patient who might have got only early a mild disease, so what are the best thing to have done for him? There are a lot of kind of opinions going around also, like sir said, that on groups, that give this particular drug for everything, give that drug for everything, but at the end of it, every drug is not meant to be given, and it is not meant to be given to every patient. So we just took home a few messages, that in mild disease, it is mostly supportive care that has to be given, and hydroxychloroquine has to be given for certain groups of patients, especially those with comorbidities. That is one take home point. In the other, the moderate group of patients, those who require admission, most of them will require oxygen, and that is the mainstay. Along with that, if that doesn't work, the next step is to be added is the steroid. We have a reasonable amount of evidence for that. And then subsequently, if they still go on further to the cytokine storm and the ARDS critical picture, then they require mechanical ventilation, non-invasive ventilation, and they may require other things like tocilizumab was being given, although we have some evidence that it's not working much, but this is what we did. In the moderate case, I forgot to mention that remdesivir was an antiviral that also has been used at various places. So all these things were discussed.
Okay, I believe one of the another important aspects which would definitely have been under discussion is the case fatality rate. How to bring that down?
Yes, of course. So in this situation, the case fatality rate is the key that we want to bring down as far as possible, because that is the one that causes the maximum burden on the healthcare system. 80 to 85% of patients are already just mild or asymptomatic, and we really just need to isolate them and take care of them at home. But yes, the burden of the disease because the mortality is the one that we need to get down. Fortunately, as of now in India, most of the places we have been able to do pretty well, and we hope to keep doing so, because our case fatality rate as compared to the rest, most of the places in the world, is relatively low. And I'd like to ask Dr. Dhruv Chaudhary also to talk about that.
Okay. Let's bring in Dr. Dhruv here. Dr. Dhruv, you're sitting a bit away from the national capital, which is not only been the center of policy making, but not so long ago was also the center of rising number of cases as far as COVID-19 is concerned. Two things which we would like to understand from you is how different is the scenario away from the hotspots, and in your handling of COVID-19 out there. Obviously, you must have shared your experience in these clinical grand round as well. But for our viewers' sake as well, how's the situation there? What's your take on the way the disease is progressing?
First of all, I would like to compliment Niti Aayog and All India Institute for starting it, because it has given a platform, and you can very well imagine the first grand round which was happening. Nearly 30,000 people had seen it on YouTube. The other second one, more than 20,000 people have seen it. So that means there was a need, there was a vacuum. So it has filled that one. Secondly, as Dr. Anant Mohan has said and Professor Paul also said that, and the net result of this is that probably we have created an interactive platform, and the technology has brought us all together where we can share it. And the same grand round in which second grand round I was part of it, one could see the amount of number of questions, queries which had come up, and people had the doubt, because it is extremely important that on the front line, people should have their doubts cleared. I think that's important, because that is one which can bring down the case fatality rate. As far as we are sitting, like we are near Delhi, we have the advantages of being near Delhi, and sometimes we have the disadvantage also lying in the shadow of Delhi. I think we are living in both in the NCR. Pluses and minuses are there, but nevertheless, we have been very keenly from Haryana perspective, very closely observing what NCR is, what is happening in national capital, because we are very intricately interlinked with the Delhi in terms of our economy, in terms of activity. So we followed the pattern of disease which was happening in Delhi. And Professor Paul knows about it. Sir has been guiding us also. We looked at in Gurgaon, we looked at in Faridabad, and we recalibrated our responses as per what was happening in the Delhi. That was one way of looking at it. So that now you also look at from the data which is coming up, Gurgaon has settled down, Faridabad is stabilizing, and other places, because of very close interlinkage, both geographical, economical, as well as social. So that is that this disease also has brought us not only the medical aspect, but it has also brought up the social, cultural, and economical aspect of the health issues which are important. As well as staying away from the policy, we have been a part of it, fortunately, in our state. So by default, indirectly, we are also contributing. And All India Institute, Professor Guleria has been very kind to discuss with it. So same has been Professor Paul. And I think this has given us a round, and it is giving us an idea to start these sort of activities within states also. Because like if you see Mumbai today, Mumbai is settling down, but Pune is being ravaged. Similarly, we are seeing, as we are going towards the eastern aspect, East UP and Central UP and your Bihar, we are seeing this problem. So point I am saying is whatever experiences we are learning through this, we are sharing so that our colleagues who are there, they can identify. And Professor Anant Mohan has very rightly said that we are trying to emphasize. Like today I had a call from one of the senior people functionary of IMA from Haryana. They are looking at it. They said, sir, in one of the medical college, only you are giving a HCQ. They went to a private sector, they gave them another drug, Favipiravir. Is it right? Why are not we giving Favipiravir? I think Professor Paul is there. We are trying to follow the national guideline, trying to put that emphasis, because disproportionate sometimes emphasis is given to the things which should not have been. And you look
Okay.
access, and that is what we are trying to tell our colleagues. So when you have these round, it brings the homogeneity, it brings the convergence of thoughts, and it leads to by and large uniformity of management. I think that's the biggest achievement which we are trying to get through these rounds.
Okay, definitely homogeneity and ensuring that everybody, all the stakeholders, specifically the health professionals, are on the same page. That seems to be the basic idea behind this. Dr. Paul, I'd like to bring you in here again. And you spoke about in your first response how, there are several therapies which are doing round on social media platforms. And, both Dr. Mohan and Dr. Dhruv spoke about certain specific, drugs which have been repurposed specifically for COVID-19. So if we want to understand the situation right now, there are it's a work in progress in terms of finding solutions to COVID-19. We are learning as we go along. But as of now, if you look at the present situation, how would you look at our stand specifically in India vis-a-vis drugs for COVID-19 and therapies for COVID-19? Sir, you put yourself on mute, sir. You will have to unmute yourself. Sorry.
Yeah. As I was alluding earlier, we very systematically examine the available therapies and include them in the scheme of the national protocol. And this is a changing document. It's a dynamic document. So Dr. Anant Mohan has given a broad picture as to how the protocol looks like. But I think we have a box which says experimental therapies. And there are 3 therapies in that, which are additional to the main algorithm of the national protocol, and this is where the confusion and difference of opinion comes. We have three therapies: tocilizumab, and we call it experimental therapy. It's an off-label therapy, experimental. Number two, plasma, and number three, remdesivir. For all these three, the evidence is relatively early. We think it is safe. We think it may work, and we have kept it there. I would request Dr. Mohan and Dr. Chaudhary to talk specifically about one by one the drugs. These three drugs create that confusion because people have a tendency to use these modalities of care early or too late, and also over enthusiasm at times. We must remember that tocilizumab as well as remdesivir are very costly drugs. We must also remember they are not easily available in tons. And also plasma therapy has its own issues around it. So the whole issue is that when we are discussing like this, then the clinicians get a sense of confidence that, look, our leadership based on science is saying this is the place where it belongs, and it will help the patient. It will help improve the outcome of that patient, because you see, the individual physician is concerned about his or her patient. When we are making these algorithms, we are looking at a big picture. We want to give confidence to the individual physician, whether you are in the public sector or in the private sector. And mind you, we are trying to reach both the sectors. It's one sector, one healthcare system. We want to say, look, this is where it belongs. Have faith, and we are in touch with you. And also many states as well as center have created e-platform for discussing individual cases. I would like them to actually talk about some of these drugs. I mentioned three, but maybe a good idea on this forum to briefly, talk about these drugs so that those who are listening understand how we would like this to be seen in the right perspective.
Okay, perfect. That's a wonderful idea. Let's bring in both Dr. Mohan and Dr. Dhruv there. Dr. Mohan, let's start with you. Those three drugs mentioned by Dr. Paul there, in terms of their use specifically, because it is very, very important, as Dr. Paul is saying, when to use and what to use.
Yes. So briefly, if we talk about, say, the first one of them is the remdesivir, which is an antiviral drug. It has been granted approval for emergency use authorization. So it has its advantages, disadvantages. It has some antiviral effect, which has been proven, and it has been published also. On the other hand, of course, the availability, the high cost, some side effects, especially to the kidney and to the liver, which has to be closely monitored. So these are some things. As far as the current state is, the position is concerned, probably it is to be used in the moderate group of patients who are just becoming kind of going towards criticality. So just pre-critical state. So I think the early recognition of the timing, I would again like to emphasize, is very important. It need not be given too early, because that would mean unnecessarily giving it to a very, very large number of people who may not actually need it. And also not too late, beyond which a person has already gone into a stage from which he cannot be salvaged. So there is probably, it seems to be a very narrow window, but then that is what it is. When the person is not responding to steroids, oxygen, and he's going towards the phase of need of high flow nasal cannula or non-invasive therapy, probably that may be the time when it can be given. As far as the other one is concerned, the tocilizumab, now that is an anti-IL-6 inhibitor, which is used for the patients with cytokine storm. And although very recent publication 2 days back has not shown a clinical benefit with this, but it still remains an experimental therapy. And this should be given in those situations where we can document the presence of a cytokine storm in a particular patient. And that is done by means of certain tests, which include the biomarkers, the IL-6 level, the ferritin, the high CRP, the LDH, and the D-dimer levels, etc. If they are high, or if they are increasing and the patient is not responding to other therapies, then this can be tried either in a single dose or can be repeated after 24 hours as well, under proper monitoring and in a right group of patients, because it's an immunosuppressive agent. There is a real chance of flaring up of infections in these patients. So we have to give it very carefully. And plasma therapy, to my mind, again, an experimental type therapy. The important thing, the plasma, who's the donor person, he should be tested if possible first to see he has an adequate level of antibodies in him to be able to help the person to whom it will be given. So again, a kind of a moderate level of group is the one where plasma therapy might be beneficial, but again, evidence to that is still not so robust. So
Okay.
over to Dr. Dhruv.
Okay, Dr. Dhruv, would you concur with what Dr. Mohan is saying on all these three aspects, remdesivir, itolizumab, and plasma therapy? Dr. Dhruv, you've muted yourself, sir. You will have to unmute and then start speaking.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah. Now,
Yes, please. Thank
yeah,
you.
Professor Anthmon, what he said, I agree with him broadly. You see, we need to, that's that, but the only thing I will say, I need to demystify the things because a lot of questions and queries which are coming up. And one of the reasons for demystification, I'm saying, is that you have a virus and the immune response to that. And these experimental therapies we have to understand is A, you want to reduce the viral load or the antigen load so that you need an antiviral. And secondly, the immune responses which body has initiated against it because it's a sort of a collateral damage or a self-infliction which happens. So that is where the immune modulation is coming. Broad spectrum, already we know steroids, which Professor Anant Moore has talked about and which has been shown from that study which has come up from UK, that dexamethasone, which is a part of a steroid, which is very simple and readily available. Now, specificity, he talked in terms of use of tocilizumab. I know there is a conflicting data. In advanced diseases, probably the data is evolving. It may not be, but probably it is the moderate stage which he emphasized, which we need to. Otherwise, he simply use the phrase catch them early, catch the complications. That's the area. That is the time when you use it. Same is true for convalescent plasma. Same is true for isolizumab. As far as the remdesivir is concerned, obviously, I give an example that you are going to have something, let's say you have a missile launcher and you have launched the missile, even if you destroy the missile launcher, till you don't destroy the missile, things will keep on happening. So if you see it here, the missiles are the viruses and the launches are the cytokines which are unleashed by the body. So you need to act at both levels to get an optimal outcome. Therefore, first we have to see to it that these missiles are not launched, that we have to act early. That is where antivirals are playing the role and they're trying to subdue. Remdesivir, as Professor Paul sir has also said, and so is Anant has also said it. I think timing is important, and that's what we are putting it on that grand round also. Pick it complications early so that you hit early and hit fast and rapid so that the complications don't play. That's the crux. And as far as the convalescent plasma therapy is concerned, we are doing two things at Rohtak. Very rightly said, Dr. Anant Mohan, is that antibodies needs to be checked. Earlier, we did not have the facility. Today, we are able to get into it. And similarly, if we are going a little late, then we also need to check antibodies within the recipient to whom we want to give plasma. Because if they have, you may sometimes cause paradoxically worsening. So it's a window of opportunity which we have to identify and take advantage of.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dhruv out there, and quite aptly put out by both Dr. Dhruv and Dr. Mohan. In fact, I'd like to inform my viewers that in case somebody wants to watch a detailed discussion on all these aspects, remdesivir, itolizumab, or even plasma therapy, the same show we have had discussions with experts. One of them, obviously, Dr. Mohan there on one or more than of these shows. Let me go to Dr. Paul now for concluding comments. Dr. Paul. These are the finer points which obviously would have come up, and these are the key points to be focused upon when we are trying to go ahead and fight this battle against COVID-19. But from the policy point of view, starting from here onwards, because the battle is half won as of now, we're still in the middle of it. How do we make sure that not only everybody is on the same page, but it is being done right by everybody as well, specifically those health professionals who are there on the ground at the front line fighting this virus?
So in that context, Vishal, what the Grand Round is doing is that it is reaching out to each one, potentially to every physician in the country, online and offline. And the whole purpose is that it is easy to state when a particular drug is to be used. Just now we did a good review of how a COVID-19 patient is to be managed. But then when you are faced with an individual patient, then there are so many other nuances to be kept in mind, and the clinicians know how difficult it is. So what the Grand Round does is it goes beyond this. This is the overarching picture. You pick up a case, you discuss a case, you look at the X-ray, you look at the report. Based on that, you say, okay, let's see how to take decisions. So it brings in that practicality. to make a case as to how the decision-making process should pan out. It is not about remembering the algorithm. That's only the starting point of seeing the algorithm. What is important is that you embrace all the parameters, and clinical practice is all about making right decisions, taking into account the entire picture of the patient. We still did talk about, for example, comorbidities. So patient can have a moderate disease but very unregulated diabetes. Now, how do you go about doing it? So this is a forum which will talk about it. This is the forum where specific questions coming from individual doctors and others will be answered. We want this institution to be strengthened, and I think this can serve a huge purpose. I like you to spread the word, and the main thing is there is no prescription here. We discuss, make decisions, and also it is serving to the policy makers. A platform where we are hearing the voices of physicians as they manage on the ground. And if they point out that this is a gray zone, we would like to seek clarity. This is something that you must drop, the time has come. This is something that you should add. And you may say there are problems about availability of medicine. So this is also a feedback mechanism for the policymakers. But remember, our whole endeavor is that Indians must not suffer mortality. Indians must not suffer morbidity. We must have great outcomes. And this forum for the physicians is a forum to do the very best for our nation together.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Paul, Dr. Dhruv, and Dr. Anant Mohan there as well for sharing your views with us. So there it is, the detailed review of the national clinical grand rounds with a focus on how to manage COVID-19 patients, what drugs to use, which therapies to use, but most importantly, when to use them. Obviously, a lot of work is being done and will be done in the future there as well. We'll come back with different topic and some more aspects as far as India's fight against COVID-19 is concerned. Till then, you keep watching Rajya Sabha Television, and please do not forget to use a face mask when you step out of your houses. Thank you.